Welcome to The Explainer. So everyone's obsessed with proving the ROI of AI, right? But what if I told you that focusing on ROI is actually the very reason your AI strategy might be failing? Today, we're going to dig into a totally different way to think about the real value of AI.
Let's kick things off with a pretty bold idea from Fortune 500 advisor Sanjit Paul Chowdhury. He argues that most executives just see AI as automation and that this is fundamentally wrong. Think about it. What if that intense focus on a simple, straightforward ROI is the very thing that's causing these big AI strategies to fail? It's a trap, and a whole lot of businesses are falling right into it.
So, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll break down that automation trap. Then, we're going to see how AI is completely redesigning the entire field, and how that actually gives a surprising edge to the underdog. From there, we'll get practical with a value-first playbook, before we wrap up by asking what all this really means for our own careers.
All right, first up, the automation ROI trap. You have to understand, this is the default mindset for most businesses out there, and frankly, it's where all the problems really begin.
Most executives hear AI, and they immediately think about automating the workflows they already have just to make them a little better, faster, or cheaper. But the problem with this automation view is that it traps you. It locks you inside your current business model. You end up just optimizing the game you're already playing, which makes you completely blind to the much bigger picture. The entire game itself is about to change.
So, if AI isn't just about simple automation, what is it about? Well, it's about redesigning the entire playing field. Let's really look at what that means.
The shipping container is just a perfect analogy for this. I mean, the obvious first-order effect was automating the jobs of dock workers. Sure, but the real world-changing impact, that third-order effect, was the complete reorganization of global trade. Because shipping suddenly became reliable, global supply chains became possible, and the entire logic of how we manufacture things was completely reshuffled. That's the level of change we should be thinking about when we talk about AI.
And this right here brilliantly illustrates what happens when value shifts. I mean, Kodak dominated digital camera sales, but they were still playing the old game of selling cameras and printing photos. They totally missed that the value had moved to sharing photos online. Fujifilm, on the other hand, survived because it understood its core strength wasn't making photos, it was chemistry. So they took that expertise and moved to entirely new playing fields like cosmetics and pharmaceuticals.
And this brings us to the crucial question. When a new technology causes this kind of systemic reshuffle, the old advantages don't really mean much anymore. It just opens the door for brand new players to come in and win.
And the answer might actually surprise you. This shift doesn't automatically help the big, established companies. In fact, AI provides a totally new kind of leverage that can completely wipe out the scale advantage that the big guys have always relied on.
Just think about how building a company has changed. As the CEO of Box, Aaron Levy, points out, back in 2005, the bottleneck was just pure execution. Literally how fast you could type. But today, founders are managing AI agents that do all the typing. The bottleneck isn't execution anymore, it's strategy, it's orchestration, it's review. And this lets a tiny 5-person team have the same output as a 100-person team.
And here's the crucial point. When execution gets commoditized by AI, the value shifts to things that are uniquely human. The premium isn't on how fast you can build something anymore, but on whether you've really thought through what to build in the first place. Strategic clarity, knowing your market, having good taste, and being able to review and guide AI's work, these are the new ways to create value.
Okay, so we get the strategic shift, but how do you actually apply this? If a simple ROI proposal is the wrong tool for the job, what's the right one? Let's walk through what's called the value-first playbook, a strategy that's all about action, not proposals. This model just flips the whole traditional sales process on its head. Instead of projecting value in some document, you prove it. You start by working for free, or maybe at a huge discount, and you deliver a small but real result. This completely removes all the risk for the client. They get to see and feel the value for themselves, which turns the decision from a maybe into a how soon can we start. Now, this approach definitely requires persistence. Your offer to prove the value first is super powerful, but you still have to get it in front of people. Most people just give up after one message, but the data is pretty clear. 80% of sales happen after the 5th follow-up, so getting the chance to prove your value means you have to be professionally persistent. All right, finally, let's bring all this back to what it means for your career and for your place in this new system.
How do you actually position yourself for success in a world that's being completely reshuffled by AI?
As AI gets more and more integrated into our work, a really clear divide is emerging. There are jobs below the algorithm, and there are jobs above it. Below the algorithm, your work is managed and basically commoditized by a system. Think of a gig worker whose tasks and pay are all dictated by an app. But above the algorithm, you're the one designing and guiding that system. The key difference here is agency.
So the question I want to leave you with isn't just about proving AI's ROI for a business. It's about proving and designing your own value in this new economy. As the entire playing field gets redesigned, are you building skills that are going to be commoditized, or are you learning how to design the systems and work above the algorithm? That is the real investment we all need to be thinking about.